Garp versus former Admiral Kuzan, why and how Kuzan joined Blackbeard, the insane conclusion to the Blackbeard Pirates versus Hard Pirates fight, the fates of Law and Blackbeard, and more is covered in this insane chapter, plus a crazy unexpected Sulong transformation, so make sure to stay tuned for that. If you do enjoy seeing these One Piece reviews and want to keep them coming, channel the Garp Within and ground pound that like button until you see fireworks. Make this the video you joined the Nakama if you haven't already by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications so you don't miss future One Piece videos and updates. And now we jump into the chapter where we left off last time with the consequences of Garp's insane punch. We get an awesome panel of Garp showing off his mighty hockey-infused fist. We see the rubble from the damage. Garp lands, sticks the landing, and there's worry about the battleship crashing down after him. It may not be pretty, but the ship does land more or less fine as well. We're gonna see another famous ship later that doesn't get off so well. Just a side note, but gotta love the dog with the bone in his mouth at the front of Garp's ship. It's awesome. And as we were marveling at Garp's attack last chapter, we commented on whether he's still got it or if he's past his prime, because it definitely didn't look like he was past his prime with that attack. But he is 78, older than Whitebeard was when he died. Garp seems to answer this question, hyping up his own prime strength even more in the process. He says, "I can't accept this," and sighs, saying it's absolutely gotten weaker, referring to his city-destroying attack. The bystanders are blown away by the power of the attack and tell him to quit the jokes. Then Kobe appears running towards Garp, and Garp says, "Hey Kobe, so you're safe," and Helmeppo cries again at seeing Kobe. I love to hear Kujaku speak. She says to Garp that was overkill and that Garp is a bad boy. They keep emphasizing the precious apprentice angle between Garp and Kobe, which is a cool dynamic that I'm enjoying. Kobe notices that all these people came who aren't even in sword. Hibari comments that Kobe's ankle shackles won't come off and that they're at their wits' end. She wants to ask if Garp can do something about it, but then we see Garp's shocked eye. Then we see that Hibari has been frozen. It's a very powerful panel, spooky even. It's like the love fruit though, and just because she's been frozen for now doesn't mean she can't be released again by the user. And I think we all know who the user is, and that's really hyping out of itself. For now though, building up the drama of the situation, people are freaking out. Both Kobe and Kujaku can't help but scream while Garp just looks with that serious expression. Next thing, as expected, he's face to face with former Admiral and almost Fleet Admiral Kuzan. This is quite the turn and gives a much better chance to the Blackbeard Pirates than they had without Kuzan last chapter. Even though Garp is Garp, I mean, enough said, but as he says, he's past his prime, and if anyone can take him down or at least fight him to a standstill until reinforcements come, it's the guy that almost became Fleet Admiral. Kobe looks mad, perhaps even scared, while Garp simply looks disappointed at seeing Kuzan, and this will make sense in a bit. Kuzan says that that's no good, Kobe. Can't have you running away while Teach isn't here. I don't know about you, but to me, Kuzan versus Garp is one of the most hype matchups, and I am mad excited to see it, and we will soon. But first, we jump into an interesting flashback. We are first told that 2 years earlier, there was a great conflict between the admirals Akainu and Aokiji over who would become Fleet Admiral. We already knew this, obviously, and Akainu won. And this flashback takes place 1 year after that. So Kuzan has lost against Sakazuki at this point, and as expected, he's not loving life right now. We see that Sanwan Wolf has been frozen solid. Blackbeard wants to know who did this, but it's obvious only one person could pull this off, and that's Aokiji. He wants Aokiji to undo his powers, but it's funny how Aokiji responds. It's so honest. He just says that Blackbeard should understand as the captain. He asks, "Do you really think I was the one who started it? And besides, as I'm sure you're aware, on top of being heartbroken over things, I'm on the edge right now. Picture for yourself who was in the wrong here." I love how he talks in such a low-key, reasonable way rather than jumping to fight. As we saw with Whitebeard, the Gura Gura no Mi can make the user immune to being frozen, so it's kind of fitting that Blackbeard ends up being Kuzan's captain. A little time passes, and before you know it, they're laughing together and drinking together. Blackbeard is impressed how the popsicle, as he calls him, can hold his liquor, and Kuzan says the same goes for Blackbeard and calls him a filthy brute and laughs. And yeah, that's a pretty great description of Blackbeard, I must say. The two are clearly having a good time though. By this point, Kuzan has unfrozen the Blackbeard pirates and he's sitting around with the crew and they are all having a really good time. Kuzan talks about how he lost a leg that he has to make up for with his ice powers, while Sakazuki must have been wounded all over. Then they talk about the burn scar and how the man with the burn scar is supposed to have one of the road poneglyphs. Kuzan says maybe that's him since he's got a scar now, but Vasco laughs saying he's just fresh off getting his. Lafitte says that the man rides a pitch black ship. It engulfs enemy ships in what is pretty much a giant whirlpool if they get close, and it's pointed out it may be a user ability, aka a devil fruit user. And then I love this part, Shiryu is of the belief that it's someone from the government since they are real shady deep down and thinks they held one so the pirates can never reach the One Piece. So hilarious having the guy that's on the crew of Blackbeard, the literal dark fruit user, calling the world government shady. I mean, it's true, but it's still hilarious. Aokiji pretty much says he'd remember if he saw a red poneglyph at Ohara, but didn't. He has bad memories associated with poneglyphs because of what happened at Ohara. Then Lafitte mentions to Blackbeard that stealing Kuzan's ability would be a considerable benefit to their combat strength. It's funny how Kuzan overhears it and says, "I heard that, you scum. Do all of you want a visit to a world of ice?" he asks. A pretty awesome threat and a very literal one. Blackbeard really loses his composure here and tells Kuzan to hold it, going so far as to apologize for his crewmate. He says he has no intention of doing that. In fact, he asks Kuzan if he wants to join his crew. Some crew members think Blackbeard is crazy, but Blackbeard sticks to his guns. He says that Kuzan is basically jobless now, not to mention aimless. He comments that he was driven out by justice, but that the justice in their world is different. Kuzan says, don't be stupid, just because of a few drinks, he can't trust them all of a sudden, there's no way. And I gotta say, if as some people speculate Kuzan is a member of SWORD and was supposed to enter the Blackbeard army as a spy, which I've said I hope is not the case, but if it is, then he should get an Oscar for this performance. It's Blackbeard being desperate to get him on board as he keeps playing hard to get. Blackbeard makes him an offer and asks, what do you want to do? Clearly for some reason or another, Kuzan is intrigued and, as we know, eventually joins. And that's the flashback. Kuzan had lost his purpose to live and become aimless, while Blackbeard appeared and gave him a new purpose and path to pursue. Back to the present, and Garp asks Kuzan to turn Hibari back to normal and to let Kobe go. He even says come back to the Navy to Kuzan. But Kuzan says, as always, you always say everything that's on your mind to Garp, and he actually likes that quality about him. But he says he can't grant any of those wishes. He uses Ice Ball and it seems to hit Garp, but Garp's hockey seems to be too strong and the ice doesn't work on him. Just as it didn't work on Whitebeard, because in that case the Gura Gura no Mi's vibrations didn't let it work. But one can assume that even his hockey was strong enough to stop it if his Devil Fruit didn't. It's really an attack that shouldn't be used against top tier fighters, but for some reason Kuzan likes to try it. It's also revealed that Kuzan is the 10th ship captain of the Blackbeard Pirates, as I anticipated before. He's definitely too strong to be anything less, that's for sure. He also asks if Garp can kill his #1 pupil, which adds a further complication here and explains why Garp looked so disappointed earlier on. Like Kobe, Kuzan was his pupil, so we have a pupil versus teacher conflict going on against the top pupil and the teacher past his prime. Garp tells his former student not to get tied down and calls him an idiot. He says, I thought I taught you to live in the now. Garp tells Kuzan that those who hesitate are weak, and then he uses Blue Hole, an attack that is written as falling to the bottom of the sea, and we do see Aokiji falling deep in the earth from the attack, as hockey sparks are shown everywhere, letting us know how strong Garp is once again. So Garp is clearly winning, and man, he's so fast for how old he is, but I think it's far from over, and there's even the implication, at least that's what I get from these earlier translations, that Kuzan may be hesitating fighting against his former teacher. I think at the very least, Kuzan will be able to at least get a standstill or draw with Garp, simply because the latter is past his prime, and he is his best student. Not to mention he could have become the fleet admiral. I mean, that's how time works usually, and I think the story calls for it as well. Besides, reinforcements, specifically Blackbeard reinforcements, may be coming soon, as we are about to see. We then jump to the Blackbeard Pirates versus Hard Pirates battle, and it actually concludes here as I predicted it would, but it's not a total victory, as we'll see. Just as Yonko Shanks erased the Kid Pirates, like completely destroyed them and their ship, we catch up with Blackbeard and his crew, who have erased, aka destroyed, the Hard Pirates. We see Law's iconic hat on the ground, the ship is completely wrecked like Kid's was. Blackbeard even says, once you lose your ship, you can't call yourself a pirate crew anymore. You've got no way to run either. And again, the oh so interesting and mysterious Rocky Port incident is mentioned. Blackbeard says the 100 pirates whose hearts you stole at Rocky Port, even Even now they are living in fear on Pirate Island. When I bring your heart back with me, they'll raise a glass in celebration. Dark stuff indeed from the Dark Fruit user. And as Blackbeard and his crewmates are standing, we see Law and Beppo on the ground bleeding. They look done for, but in shonen manga you can never take that for granted. This is quite the feat for Blackbeard though. Obviously Shanks handled Kid and crew in a split second by himself, but it's still impressive that Blackbeard beat Law, who I think most of us view as stronger than Kid, and his entire crew without many of his strongest fighters like Kuzan and all the other ones on Pirate Island being present. Hate it or love it, Blackbeard has proven that he's worthy of the Yonko title once again. But surprisingly, Chopper saves the day, or at least takes a total victory away from Blackbeard. There's a flashback of him giving Beppo something and saying, I can't guarantee at all that it'll go right, okay? Then there's a munching sound effect telling us that Beppo is eating something. In the meantime, Blackbeard is counting his chickens before they hatch. Blackbeard is excited thinking about what to do with the Ope Ope no Mi. Should he use it to become immortal or should he sell it? But then Chopper's formula activates and allows Beppo to enter Sulong form even though the moon isn't out. Beppo says, don't you dare touch my captain. We get an epic panel of him attacking the Blackbeard pirates and freaking out Blackbeard. This form gives him the strength to escape with Law into the water. Law wants Beppo to go back since he doesn't want to leave his crew behind, but Beppo refuses and says believe in them. They were raised in the cold harbors of the north. The implication is that they'll come back for them one day and they'll survive until then. For now though, he tells Law he can't die. He's begging him not to die, so you can tell that Law is on the edge of death after what Blackbeard did to him. We're told the Heart Pirates were defeated, and it was a brutal defeat by part of Blackbeard's crew, and Law only escaped because of Chopper helping Beppo, so in truth, Blackbeard should have had a more complete victory and could have even become immortal potentially, but I think Law is too much a fan favorite character for that. Let me know how you feel with this conclusion of this intense matchup. Are you disappointed? Is this what you expected? Let me know. No one can deny that the Blackbeard Pirates are one of the strongest crews right now, and if you want to know all of their powers and how strong they are exactly, you don't want to miss my all 16 Blackbeard Pirates and their powers explained video, link on screen right now and in the description. I'll see you there.